SoulSpeak Living in Color, where we talk about inspirations, following your dreams, and what lights your fire. I'm your host, Sam Philyaw, Rainbow and Thunder voiceover. You can find me at samphilyawvo.com. Hi, and welcome back to SoulSpeak Living in Color. I am with Michael Ignacio. So Michael is a voiceover actor, voice artist, voice talent, however you want to say it. He's been in the business for a little while, and he produces audio dramas, which is really pretty cool. So this episode is number 14. And if you are a creative individual, either looking to get into voiceover and you want to hear another person's story, or if you are interested in maybe doing your own podcast or dramas or anything audio-wise, this is the episode to watch. So, lo and behold, Michael, nice to have you on our show. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me as your guest.
So, tell us a little bit about your voiceover journey so far.
So, my voiceover journey began with two self-proposed questions. Why not me? And what would happen if I tried? So I had always loved cartoons and video games and that sort of thing. And I was admired voice acting, but I never really dreamed that I myself could pursue that. So I owned a previous company before I owned this company, Mystic Born Productions, where I actually was a publisher and I produced audiobooks, but I wanted to give them a different flair because I didn't want to necessarily do all the voices myself because I'm not a very convincing female. I'm like, I'm a girl, liar, the illusion's broken. So I initially, for those productions, I reached out to friends and they were voice actors, and putting it all together with music and sound effects, it was so cool. I learned through the first company that I didn't necessarily being a publisher because it was so hard to try and market for other people who wouldn't want to market for themselves. So I decided that after doing some soul searching, that the small publishing press business was not it for me, but I really, really loved the idea of audio stuff. So I opened a new company, Mystic Born Productions, in 2018 of October. And so I started focusing on creating these audio dramas. And at first, during those initial productions, I was just the narrator. And it took me a little bit to realize, wait a second, narration is also voice acting. And while I was going through and producing more and more shows, I came to dream about what if I could actually be a voice actor myself and do some of the character roles or do commercial roles. And I really started to kind of look into what that would really entail. So since I really began, and I really started to focus on my own voice acting career in 2020. Since then, I've taken some amazing coaching from Gina Scarpa. I highly recommend Gina Scarpa as a voice actor. Yeah, she's so great. And she's so awesome to work with, very affordable. And so she gave me a lot of confidence with discovering my commercial voice, and also gave me confidence in realizing that I too could be the hero, the important character, the villain, even if I had a tenor voice. For a long time, I was very self-conscious about I don't have the deeper gravitas, masculine, lower voice that some of these other voice actors are able to bring. I'm more higher toned and so on and so forth. But working with Gina and working with a great voiceover coach really, really helped me understand how to better utilize my voice. I've also taken a bunch of courses through Strawberry Hill Music and Real Voices LA, and in order to try to improve my craft. So
that's awesome.
To date with Mystic Born Productions, Mystic Born being one word like in Dragonborn from Skyrim, we've produced 12 fully done audio dramas. We're about to release our 13th Mystic Tale Season 2. And so I'm really, really excited about that. So that's kind of where I am at the moment and where I've come from and, things of that nature.
That sounds awesome. So you've done a lot of training and you really... sounds like you got into voiceover through your audio dramas. That's really interesting. Yes.
One important philosophy I use to approach my life is I want to sail past the unbroken horizon to discover what is meant for me, to be courageous enough to go beyond what I'm comfortable with and trust in myself for that journey. So a lot of my tenacity comes from me being a creative entrepreneur and throwing myself into voiceover, learning what I can do. And even if I don't ever get to the point where I'm like in animes and video games and being like all these different kind of things, so long as I'm pursuing the thing that makes me happy, the thing that gives me life and makes me fulfilled and generates that happiness, then I'm living authentically and organically. And that's so important in this day and age.
I love that. A little
Mhm.
shivers for that. That's awesome. That's exactly what I believe in and why I created this podcast. And I mean, with the way that the world is right now, it is really important for us to be able to express ourselves in a way that just lights our soul on fire,
That's
right?
important. We have a very finite amount of time in this universe, in this life. So why not do the thing that makes you happy? Why not follow your dreams? Because even if you don't get to where you think you should be, you're going to get to a place that is completely different than where you were before. And you'll meet people that you would have never, ever met before. I've been able to work with people in my audio drama and even meeting you as well. I would not have met you had I not decided to go on this creative journey. So
Exactly.
so many interactions and so many experiences and opportunities are waiting for you, so long as you have the courage to believe in yourself and go forward and see where it goes.
And who's to say it's really a risk? Because if it's something that you truly believe that you are meant to do, that you
Mhm.
are just so fired up about all the time, like who's to say that it's a risk if you take a leap of faith and do it? I mean, you're
Agreed.
risking it either way when
Mhm.
you get out of high school or get out of college or whatever, and you start in the workforce and you just kind of we're like, I guess I like doing this and we're just gonna go here. That's the same thing.
Well, and it's my view that the longing that you have in your heart, the thing that you always wish you could do, but you're so afraid because society says you have to have this and this and this. Of course, society's wrong, but that longing that's in your heart is your soul and the universe communicating with you, trying to urge you to be your most authentic self. So if you are listening and you've always wanted to be a voice actor or creator or content writer or whatever it is, or a novelist, do it and go forth. And no matter what happens, you can look in the mirror and say, I am this thing that moves me. I am this thing that makes me feel amazing. And that's so important in this day and age. Creating our own small sense of a sanctuary in the world, creating our own place where we are powerful, because we are powerful. And you're very talented, and I'm very talented. Well, I'm talented, but you're very talented, I'm saying. And
Don't be
the people
humble.
listening,
We like to brag here.
but the person listening is also talented in ways that they know. And if they have courage and they give themselves or they trust in themselves, they may be able to discover amazing, wonderful opportunities.
You're absolutely right. I love that. Well
I'm very
said.
positive.
I love the positivity. We need more of that. And not just, the toxic positivity where you don't even see the negative or the reality, but choose to see the
Mhm,
good in the bad.
mhm.
Everything happens for a reason, I personally believe. And because of that, I have learned to not be so worrisome and controlling over my own life and my own situations because you can't control everything. And there's no point in worrying what something that you have no control over.
Now, I will say that sometimes you may have to like integrate other things into your world in order to
Yeah.
pay for the things that are happy. So, for example, during the day, I'm a budget analyst for the city of Kansas City. And so I work hard during the day as a day job to help fund my being able to pay voice actors for my audio dramas, but also my own voice acting journey. Before I worked here and at the city, I once had a career in higher education, helping students figure out what they wanted to do with their lives. And that's another reason why I love being able to approach this situation and bringing people on in audio dramas and giving people opportunities, because I love helping people see maybe what they don't see about themselves, or having the courage to figure out what is it that I want to do and how do I get to that and how do I break it down so that way it's more manageable. So, you know.
So, takeaways from this conversation for those of you who are listening or watching: mindset of gratitude,
Mhm.
um, choosing to be positive because it's not easy but I think it's necessary. If you want to be in business for yourself, if you want to do the things that you love to do, there are going to be times where you have to do things that you don't want to do. Maybe you have to work a day job while you build yourself up in voiceover. Do you know that that's like 90% of us? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I was going to say, one book that I would highly recommend for any creative entrepreneur to read is The Power of Broke by Damon John. He founded Fubu. He was on Shark Tank. The reason why I love the book so much is because it talked about the fact that you don't need to have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars to initiate your dream. You can scale it back, do what you can, and then build up. And that gave me the courage to be able to like work with the mics that I could obtain, or let people know on the front end, hey, this is what I can pay. I can't pay SAG-AFTRA rates, but I can pay this rate. Is this good for these projects? And reaching out and being completely upfront, but not necessarily saying, well, I can't afford to, pay $15,000 for this audio drama. I might as well not do it. Being able to scale back your dreams and build up when you can. The Power of Broke is an amazing resource for any entrepreneur.
I like that. I'm going to have to rewatch this to go back to that book. I like books. Books are great. So what kind of work do you do mostly in voiceover? Not for audio drama, but for actual work.
So I've been lucky enough because I do stuff on voices.com. So I've only had a couple gigs. I've had one gig with Jersey Mike's. I've done a gig with Greater Casey Public Safety Credit Union, which is a small Kansas City-based credit union. And I've even done an audiobook for another company. So, even though I've not had a lot of commercial work, I'm trying to do more with the commercial stuff because it's enjoyable. But I've been cast in some other things too, but like a smaller audio drama by a friend of mine. But I'm still working very, very hard. But then while I'm waiting and still auditioning and using those opportunities to like build up my craft, I'm also producing my own content too. And because I actually own my productions company, it's Mystic Born Productions LLC, these are still projects that give me traction and opportunities to grow and apply my own skills, learn, and then prepare for future opportunities.
Yep. So you're still relatively new, which is really great because a lot of people, there's a thing. It's great to get coaching and listen to people who've been in the industry for 15, 20 plus years. But they don't know what it's like to be a newbie in today's world, in this year, in the last 3 years.
Yes.
So I think it's really important to hear the other side of the story where someone who's just started. I mean, I just started in 2021, January, like I started auditioning as soon as I got my commercial demo. And I've been like nose to the ground grinding hard ever since then. And I'm super grateful to say that it's gotten me a lot of awesome opportunities. That's not the same for everybody who started when I did. I quit my day job before I started actually auditioning because it was making me absolutely miserable and it was affecting my performance. So that was my decision. A lot of voice actors will tell you, don't fucking do that. I will tell you, don't do that unless you have the means. If you have a backup, if you know that you can get another like part-time job eventually, if you need to, fucking do it, right? Yeah. For someone like you who's still using a day job to supplement the income and doing the audio dramas and still trying to make it as a commercial voice actor or even an animation voice actor, that is the majority. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that you've only got a small handful of jobs so far, but you're still striving to be a commercial because a lot of people are going to be able to relate to that.
And one thing I would like to stress is that even if you don't get the gigs that you think you should, or you're trying so hard and you're not getting anything, the thing to focus is that you are doing the thing that moves you. You are voice acting, you are getting in the box, and for a very minute amount of time, you are auditioning to be the voice of whatever company or whatever character or whatever thing. And even if you're not selected, the fact is that you are actually putting yourself out there is an enormous, awesome opportunity. And so don't lose heart if you don't get many or don't even get any gigs, but still focus on the joy that comes with voice acting.
Yep.
It's a hard industry, and a lot of people go in thinking, I'm going to be famous, I'm going to be the next Tara Strong, and then they get so distraught. And that's not the right way of going about it, because it's not fair to you, and it's not fair to, because there are a lot of other factors going along why some of these other people are being able to have great connections. It's about maybe place and time. It could be about people they know, or people they're auditioning for, or the areas they're living in. But don't be discouraged. Do your best. Do the best product you can. And at the end of the day, you can say, I did this thing. I am a voice actor no matter what happens. And I'm happy about that. And that's why I also have the day job, to be able to pay for my life, to be able to pay for the things that I'm wanting to do. But with regards to the audio dramas, I can create the projects that I want, and they exist because I said so. And that's a beautiful thing. And that works for me. It may not necessarily work for other people. Maybe they want to only be in video games and only be in whatever the case is. But go on the journey with an open mind and with the expectation that you're going to grow in different ways and unexpected ways, and you never know unless you go. And you'll never know how you'll grow until you come up against obstacles in an environment and meeting great, wonderful people. And there's such a beautiful industry. It's hard, but you'll get to somewhere really cool.
Nothing worth it is ever easy.
It's true.
And I want to reiterate something that you just mentioned. It exists because I said so.
Mm-hmm.
Create your own content. I don't care who you are, voice actor, painter, animator, whatever. Other people are there to support you. There are so many voice actors who helped me and who even auditioned for my original content, the audio film that I produced last year.
That's so cool.
And I am so grateful that even though I don't have the funds to pay people to help me, I do my absolute best to put it everywhere I can and put their names out there as much as possible. Like, there are people willing to help you. If you're an animator and you create a little short snippet, ask a couple of voice actors. If you can't pay them, that's cool. Some people believe that's not cool, or if you're willing to do it, you're willing to do it. Some people are, some people aren't. It's, if you don't want to do it, don't audition for it, right?
My other recommendation for that is just approach it from a very upfront, professional, like open, just being very transparent. These are the situations. And there are great people who will believe in your project, who are willing to work for a smaller amount of money that they usually do, or they will work for free because they believe in the project. But at least, again, approaching it from a professional kind of saying, and just be honest, and it's okay. It's okay.
You have to put it like at the beginning. For example, if you put a casting call on Twitter, you need to say unpaid, all caps. So everybody who doesn't want to do that can just scroll on. But I love the people who will actually take the time, at least if it's original content. A fan dub, I'm kind of like, eh. But if it's something that you poured your heart and soul into, then you are working so hard to create it. That gets me fired up, because you're doing something that you love to do and that you think is really freaking cool. And I want to be a part of that. I love it. And a lot of other people feel the same way. So don't sell yourself short. I'm just saying, it exists because you said so. Original content is the key thing, especially when you're trying to get yourself out there.
Agreed.
So let's talk about your audio dramas for a little bit longer. What do you love most about them? And sorry, brain fart. Which of them is your favorite?
So the one thing I love about audio dramas, and just storytelling in general, storytelling tells us about who we are and why we are and what we are as people. And there's this ancient primal magic that comes with oral storytelling. And the cool thing about being a voice actor is you get to tap into some of that magic and put it out into the universe. So that's one thing that's really important for me about voice acting. and about my audio dramas is because I can tell a story in my own interpretation in a fun way and affect other people or to entertain other people. And it's moving to me. So if you asked me what my favorite audio drama that I've made thus far, I would have to say it would be Voyage of the Great Navigators, which is a Pacific Islander fantasy. It's important to me because I'm a Pacific Islander guy. And I didn't see any other kind of like content like that. You have Moana, but I mean, in terms of just focusing on the fantasy aspect, and I got to work with some fantastic voice actors and actresses on that project. And that was all original content that I wanted to create, and I was super happy. My second favorite would have to be either a tie between Magical Boys, because I liked Sailor Moon growing up. But it's a campy kind of audio drama about career development and finding out who you're meant to be, and under the guise of like, magical boys, magical girls, magical non-binary persons fighting like otherworldly creatures. And it's super silly and super goofy. And we actually released our second season of it. So there are 27 episodes for you to fully enjoy. The other tie would also be Mystic Tales. We're actually in production of season 2 right now. But I loved Mystic Tales because it gave me an opportunity to explore various different kinds of storylines in a very short amount of time, but also give my voice actor colleagues an opportunity to play characters they would never have an opportunity to play. For example, in season 1, there was one episode called Dungeons and Dating, which was about a dating game show for dungeon monsters. And so you had like this succubus character who was not at all like what you would imagine, but more along the lines of like a hostess who was, being the host for this game show. And then she would be you had one bachelorette and then 3 other creatures that are trying to win her affection. And it was so cutesy and fun, and it turned out very, very well. But there are like 20 other 19 other episodes in season 1, and there are an additional 20 in season 2. But I've also created audio dramas. One was called Arcedos Academy, and there are 24 episodes of that. It's about an anime style high school, but it's from the teacher's perspective. And while the teachers are doing all this big storyline, you have all the students still doing dumb shit in the background. And it's so campy and so silly. And I got to work with so many awesome, fun people. And again, that's 24 episodes. The full playlist is on our thing. I've done an Asian inspired fantasy adventure. I've done an Egyptian style fantasy adventure. I've done D&D style related things. And I've done my own smaller projects where it was me doing the journaling, where once I was like a French style baker in an occupied World War I style kind of like, setting. Another one was about archaeology, and it's such a fun thing. The reason why I'm telling you all these things, I sat down and said, I want to create this story. This is something that'd be really cool. I don't see this. I want to create it. So I sit down and I write it and I create it. And then being able to cast it and put music and sound effects to it, and then listening to it, it's powerful. And it exists because I wanted it to. I put my soul into it and used my magic of my voice acting, my creativity, my storytelling. And now anyone can enjoy it on YouTube. And that's just so cool. That's the great thing about original content, is that you can actually make these wonderful things that people may not have ever thought of. And like, oh, that's really, really cool. And then be able to entertain people that way.
That's how I felt about Dragon Elf, the audio
Mm.
film that I did. I wrote the story based off of 4 different words. Dragon, Elf, Genie, and Candy. Courtesy of Joshua Bliss. And I actually had him act in the film. He was the drunken merchant who my character stole a genie summoning token and the spell script from. So he was hilarious. I directed everybody, or those who needed direction, and you give specs to somebody and who knows what they're doing, and they did a great job. Some of them were new, needed a little extra help, so we did a live direction. I produced it, wrote it, I cast it, I did everything for it other than acted out the other characters that weren't my own. Mm-hmm. And God, you're right. Listening to it at the end when you're finished, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just learning as I go. This bitch took me like 70 plus hours just to produce it like putting it together with the sound effects and the music and all of that. It was insane.
I know what that's like.
But it was
now
so
it
nice
exists.
when it exists. It was done, and I was like, I was in tears. I was like, finally, I'm finished. And now I'm putting myself through it again. But it's really cool.
Here's the residual cool aspect of what you did. Now you can actually put on your resume, you were a casting director, you were a producer, you were all these things because you decided to give yourself the opportunity. So if someone looks on my resume, I am, in addition to being a budget analyst, I am a creative producer, director, voice actor, project lead. These are things that I decided I wanted to have, and they're legitimate. And you can use this as a springboard to give yourself like legitimate industry jobs. Obviously that might be very difficult for you to compete with other casting directors who are in like Hollywood and doing all these crazy giant projects, but you are still a casting director and you can still be considered in that pool because you gave yourself that opportunity. You learned what skills are needed, and it's about what you know and how you can apply it. So if you have this thing that you want to create, go for it, learn it. And then you know what? At the end of the day, you said you did it. And if you like to continue to do it again, make another show. Yeah. And if not, well, then you did it and it was a cool experience and you can drink about it and tell friends, this one time I made this thing. And it's super goofy and it's lighthearted, but it's all about the experiences that you have,
life is kind of like a video game to me that I've realized recently. So you have yourself, your body, your soul. You have the world around you that you can't control anything in the world around you. I mean, unless you like work super, super hard and you mod that shit, but you build your character, right? Based on your circumstances, based on your mindset and your thought processes, you build who you are and what you do, your career, your path. I'm sorry. We just got a new kitten, everybody. Say hello to Opal.
Hi,
I don't know
Opal.
if we're going to be able to keep her or not, but she's here for the time being. She's a stray, and she can't be in any other room, unfortunately. But yeah, so you build around you, and you, like you were saying, you make original content. You are the director, you're the producer, you're the writer, you're the everything for it. And that is a springboard for you to go into the world and get all these other different jobs. Think of it like questing, right?
It is questing. You're getting attributes to give you other opportunities. And even if it's just like with smaller time creators like us, or not smaller time in a bad way, but I mean like in terms of like independent creatives who are on our own to build these, building our fantastic projects, you can come to I could approach you and say, I've done this, this, and this. What can I help you with on your project? And then get more experience working on your project, which helps me grow, which helps you grow, and helps create this wonderful, beautiful piece. So it's all about a culmination of skills and attributes and knowledges. That's how you grow. In order to master any skill, you need to either read 10 books on the subject or have 10,000 hours in that field doing those things. And that's kind of like what they say, especially in college. But you being able to put in the time to master your craft in the way that you're doing it, that helps you accomplish whatever goal you're trying to set out to do.
It's always going to be better to have the experience and the physical know-how than just reading books about it and never actually doing it.
True.
And yeah, that's just how life is. I'm sorry. You got to have a little experience. So get out there and make something. Do it.
And it's fun. And like when you actually get to listen to the end result, I'm very proud of all my audio dramas. I'm like, this is so cool. And it's super fun. And granted, you can look at an older project and say, okay, I could have done better. This is how much I've grown. But also listening to an old project versus listening to a recent project, you can see how much you've grown based upon all your skills. And that's also really, really cool too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's talk about any other hobbies that you have. What other stuff do you do, if anything?
For me, creative expression is my reason for existence. And so I love other forms of creativity. I like playing video games because I love the voice acting and the storytelling. I like anime and animated features because I love the marriage of voice acting, writing, art, and all these kind of things. And now I'm actually having really cool friends and colleagues who are starting to emerge in some of those things, and people who've been in my projects, which is super cool. So I'm like, oh,
That's awesome.
that's my friend who's doing this, and she did this for me. Haha, that's so cool. But then like I also love art and theater, musical theater, museums. So it's just I love trying to enjoy and surround myself with good creative things, especially because sometimes the world can be less than ideal. Sometimes it can be very frustrating. So surrounding yourself with things that make you happy or positivity, it's very important for our mental health, for our spiritual health, for our ability to be able to project and create. And so, that's important.
So you really are the definition of living in color, huh?
Trying to do it.
I love it. How about some let's see, let's talk about your dream role, like across the board in voiceover. And
so
then
I would, I guess my dream role would be to be able to do more commercial work, to be able to like, are you looking for a pet? Well, come on down to PetSmart. So that way I can show other Pacific Islanders that we can exist in this spectrum, that we can be the voice of whatever it is. I think commercial is really cool for that, because one difficulty being a Pacific Islander guy is that there aren't really a lot of Pacific Islander fantasy characters or Pacific Islander animated characters that I can be like, oh, look, there are not enough of those, and that's okay. So with commercial, you can kind of step in. It's a lot easier for a person of color to come in and say, I'm this thing, I can do this thing. In terms of non-commercial work, it would be really cool to be in a video game, to be like, oh, that's kind of cool. And, I have several friends that are doing that, and that'd be kind of neat. And, just to be able to say I'm this kind of cool thing,
What kind of video game would you most enjoy voicing in?
Well, see, it's funny. I love fantasy games, but it's weird though, because like certain fantasy games, I'm like, this is okay. And it's gonna sound so silly. I love Dark Souls 3. Oh my god, it's so punishing. No. But I have earned every victory. But also like games like Persona 5. I actually recently took a class with the voice of actor of Sojiro, Jameson Price. Fantastic guy. I'm actually taking a class this Friday with a voice actress who is the voice of Lulu from Final Fantasy X, from Strawberry Hill. And actually, if you have some money or funds, let me put it that way, I think they're offering 10% off of the price for the,
That's awesome.
the class. And it's really cool. And it's commercial 101. So I'm excited about that. But also I love slice of life. Like some of my favorite animes are the slice of life that make you ugly cry, like really, really bad. Like
Fruits Basket. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes. That Your Lie in April, Clannad and Clannad story. I ugly bawled, and it was beautiful and happy and just like, but I also love, there's an old one called Rune Soldier, which may not have aged as well because some of the humor is a little like, oh, why? But it's still really cool. I don't know if I would ever see myself in anime. It would be kind of neat, but again, I don't know. It's a difficult field, but it'd be kind of
it is really hard to break into. It's, you almost have to be in the areas that they're in to get in. Almost.
So in lieu of that, I'm still just going to do my best, and because I live in Kansas City at the moment. I do remote work. I used to actually live in Los Angeles, but I was living there trying to get involved with the government because I was trying to become an analyst with this Department of Transportation, but it didn't work out. My brother actually lives in that area too. He's an executive chef. Anyway,
nice.
Yeah. So, but the cool thing about remote work nowadays is you can be in some of those things. And so video games or commercials or, animation or whatever it is, just have the courage, put yourself out there and see what happens.
Yep. I would recommend anybody who's looking to get into video games and animation, seek out the indie developers or animators, people who are just starting to do it, and especially as passion projects. I mean, that's the new generation coming in.
That's great.
And that's
That's a good
also
point.
networking.
That's
So
true.
if you do, let's say, a passion project for someone who's working on their thesis or whatever for college, and they have to create a short film or something, and you voice act in that. Well, guess what? Next 10 years or so, when they're a producer or director, whatever, animator, they're going to remember you. So
It's
it's a,
not
it's a
about
long
who
game.
it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you and what
Mm-hmm.
they're saying when you're not there and what they think of you. That's where the opportunities really come from. So
Yep, exactly. So for the advice portion, let's talk about, since you're mostly an audio drama creator, and that seems to be your main passion other than voiceover. What advice do you have other than all the golden nuggets that we have for people who are wanting to create their own audio dramas, who want to make their own content?
So I'll state this. My favorite book of all time is called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And in The Alchemist, it says if you have a dream, then go for it, because the universe will conspire to help you get to your dreams. Your dreams want to be realized if you have the courage to pursue them. So the reason why I'm answering your question with that starting out is that if you have this really cool content that you wish to create, do it. And then other people who are like what you said, who resonate with what you're trying to do, will come and help and aid, and you'll get to meet new opportunities, and opportunities will open up if you go in that direction and just do your best. So for people that wish to make their own kind of content, what would you like to see in the world? Create that. And then you never know where that might lead. Because if it's something unique and something interesting, what's that one show? Not Hell of a Bus, but the other one. It started out as a fan thing and then it blew up. They're in hell and it's musical and it was really, really great.
I don't remember the name of that.
But that's an example. I should remember it. And as soon as the interview ends, I'm like,
right. As soon as we're done, we're gonna remember it. Like, I know what you're talking about. I have it in my mind. I just can't remember the name.
And that was something that was created. Someone wanted to create it. They were passionate about it, and then it, blew up. But that's not necessarily like the onus. You should like, oh, I got to create something so it'll blow up. But someone wanted to create something, and then it exists, and people began to love it. Like, I don't know if you've ever played Undertale. I've never played it, but I know a lot of people love the game, and it was, super, super unique, and people found it super fascinating, and it has affected so many people's lives because of how awesome it was. But it only was created when people decided they wanted to actually kind of put forth and, follow their dreams, follow their hopes, and work together with someone on something. So if you have this thing that you want to create, go for it, because you also never know who is waiting for you to create that content, to shape their lives, to save their lives. Like one of my favorite video games of all time has no voice acting. It's called Journey, and it's on like PlayStation, and it's basically the whole point is you're trying to get to the top of this mountain, and it's beautiful. The music in it is so phenomenal. But that game transformed a lot of my life, and it was something very, very cool because of the way that it was portrayed, the creative expression. Mm-hmm. So you being able out there, whoever you are listening, you have this thing that you're wanting to create. It's the universe whispering to you, please create this thing, because someone is waiting for that content. Someone is waiting for you to shape their lives, and they don't even realize it. And even if it only shapes one or two people, the fact that you have the ability to affect someone's life and affect someone's joy and happiness or whatever with your words or with your creative abilities, that is so powerful. That is magic. That is warlockery. That is sorcery. And we all have that magic within us, if only we allow ourselves permission to dream, to create.
I love it. Mm-hmm. There's magic everywhere. You just have to believe it's there, tap into it.
Well, I've also heard people say this before. Words have power. That's the reason why it's called spelling, because we are creating spells by the things we say. That's why self-talk is so important. That's why saying, I am good enough to be a voice actor one day. I am good enough to be this thing. I am handsome. I am beautiful. I'm smart. I'm whatever. you putting that out into the world, your brain is listening to yourself. And if you constantly build yourself up and saying, I'm going to achieve this dream, I'm going to be a good voice actor, I'm going to be a good artist, I'm going to be a good musician, I can do it, I'm good enough, and constantly tell yourself, that's going to help you boost yourself up. That is casting good self-love on yourself. And that's so important in this day and age, you know?
Yep. And I want to close that off with two things.
Mm-hmm.
That put your creative expression out there for anybody to see, something that you want to see in the world, do it.
Mm-hmm.
That applies to all creative endeavors, whether
Mm-hmm.
you're a painter, a voice actor, if you're, drawing, if you're writing, if you're whatever the case may be, landscaping, even, that's creative.
Mm-hmm. Whatever moves you.
Whatever moves you. Other people are going to find that and relate to it. And that's your tribe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get to know the tribe in there. And another thing I wanted to say is that the I am statements is spot on. You're not an aspiring voice actor. You are a voice actor. You're not there where all these other veteran voice actors are yet. You're down here. You might just be taking your first class, but if that is where you're going and you know it, you're a voice actor.
It's about the journey and the way that you're going about experiencing the beauty of it all. It's not necessarily about the destination, but it's about the going.
Yeah,
the going and the existing.
Mm-hmm. When you say what you want and you put in the action, you'll get there. It's not I want to manifest a role as a Disney princess or, a big animation company princess like DreamWorks, Pixar, Disney, whatever. Mm-hmm. That is my dream role, but it's not enough. Come here. I'm sorry. But it's not enough to just say that. I've been working my ass off to be that voice actor who booked that role. Mm-hmm. And I'm well on my way. There's many things in works right now that I'm not going to mention here, but I'm well on my way to being that in that role. So
that's wonderful.
That's the great thing about creating your own content, telling yourself that you can do it and actually going for it. So remember that, everybody watching. Quit being so scared. It'll all work out in the end.
Well, they say that whenever you're afraid about something or anxious about something, that's your body's way of telling you you're about to do something amazing, or you're on the cusp of realizing something about yourself. So if you're nervous about it, take a deep breath, trust in yourself, and go forward. Because you'll never know unless you go.
You see the fear, acknowledge it, and then say, okay, I'm doing it anyway, and go right through it. Mm-hmm. Fear is not going to hurt you. But it is a healthy amount. Can be good. Listen to your instincts. Trust your gut.
Yeah. Yes.
Don't drink the bad milk. Just saying.
Oh man, that's rough.
So this was awesome. I love everything that you've had to say here. Is there anything other than what we've covered that you want to say to our lovely audience?
If no one's told you this yet, I believe in you, and I believe you have the power to achieve whatever dream you wish to go. So, believe in yourself, and know that even again, if you never get to where you think you should get to, the famous, golden, light that you're like, oh, I'm going to do this amazing thing, but you're going to go on that direction. You're going to end up in a place that you had no idea, that you didn't even know existed. You may discover things that you may not even know that you wanted. So for example, I once upon a time thought I wanted to be a publisher and a writer and a novelist. I had no idea that I could be a voice actor or I would have enjoyed it. But I discovered it accidentally by doing the creative aspects on another thing that led me to this completely different thing that was so much more beautiful. So you may discover what you're meant to do simply by doing. And it's okay if you haven't figured out what you want to do yet. just go forward, and so long as you're trying, and you'll discover it.
I love it. Great words to end it on. So everybody, for socials, follows, of course, we all love to follow all of our awesome guests and keep up with their journey, see what they're up to. What are your social handles? Where can people find you?
Okay, so my Twitter handle is, let me look at it. I had it written down. Okay, so my Twitter handle is Mike _ Ignacio, IGNACIOJR. And then that's how you find me on Twitter. But my YouTube channel is called Mystic Born Productions, Mystic Born being one word. And that's where you'll find like our 178 different episodes, because we have like, again, 12 audio dramas. So if you're wanting to listen to something interesting and, cool productions, we have so much fun content for you to share. To share with you.
Awesome. All right. And of course, everybody, you can find me at Sam Philyaw VO on Instagram and Twitter, Samantha Philyaw on LinkedIn, and at A Fun Sized Adventure on TikTok, where I do awesome collabs and singing, whatever suits me for the moment, because I'm terrible at routine. So then follow me, and we'll chat, and we'll hang out, and just show some love and spread some positivity and help people do what they're supposed to do in life. So you guys have a wonderful day. This will be posted shortly after it has been recorded. And let me know if you have any thoughts or feedback in the comments. And just show Michael some love. And if you're watching this on YouTube, which is where it'll be posted, just say, hey, this was awesome. Thumbs up. I loved everything you had to say. I sure did. So
thank you very much.
All right. We'll see you guys later.